Hey guys, it's Gaz. Welcome to another Warframe video. So today we are going to revisit the Gaze Kit Gun. The Gaze Kit Gun got buffed pretty recently on update 25, basically the Jovian Conccord update. And the buff that it received is that it went from being like a completely single target weapon with a bit of punch through to become a chaining beam weapon. So let's quickly show how that chaining works with a clip that I recorded yesterday. So here we go. I am going to fire this gun with no mods at these chargers with no armor. So as you see, I'm doing about 13-ish damage to the main target, and then it chains to doing about 3 damage. So it doesn't really chain a ton. It's like a very small amount. See, we're getting crits. When we're critting to the chain target, it's about 6 damage versus the 3. And we do have a crit multiplier of 2 on the gun, so that does make sense. So the chaining is not really what you're going to be looking for as far as damage is concerned at higher levels. The chaining will mostly be for status procs, guys. This thing is really good for status. We actually have 4 different builds for you today, and I'm also going to tell you guys how to look at this thing when you're making your own version of the Gaze, because the Gaze has lots of customization options, which is really nice. So let's quickly show a comparison of the range, because there are some things that you want to keep in mind here, guys. The grip will change how much range you have. So we have max range, second highest. There's 4 different grips, so there's 4 different types of range. So I'm going to show you a comparison from Captura. So let's quickly get these on the screen. So this is going to be top left corner is highest range, bottom right corner is lowest range, okay? And I'm riding a Roomba with Mirage, so that's why there's 3 lasers. So let's do this. So as you can see, the bottom right corner, that range is very low. And we actually had to zoom out even further for the highest range one because it seriously covers the entire extraction area. So yeah, this bottom right one is 20 meters range. So or 22 meters range. The Haymaker grip is 22 meters. Lovetap is 25. Ramble is 38, and then Gibber is 41. So over double the amount of range, or almost double the amount of range on the Gibber versus the Haymaker, guys. But you do get more damage if you're running the Haymaker versus the Gibber. So there's that. So figuring out like what kind of range is going to be right for you is going to be helpful. I personally think it's up to personal preference. Unless you want to go for the max DPS version, you don't really need to use Haymaker because the range is 22 meters, which is kind of low when you have options like the Gibber, which is like you cover the entire room with the beam, and like you're going to hit whatever target you're shooting at. So I consider that pretty valuable. So let's go ahead and take those off the screen so we can move on. Hopefully you're not hearing any weird audio from those clips. Alright, so that is like a quick range comparison. The range is pretty big, guys. But yeah, we're going to show you 4 different builds today. So I actually have 4 different parts. So this current one we have is a status applier. You could also build it for crit, but I mostly just built this one specifically as a status applier. So like you could even take these crit mods off if you wanted to. So the parts for this one are Gaze, Sparkfire, and Gibber. So this one does require some pretty high tier parts, but if you are trying to apply status, this is one of the best ones you can make. We will be going over some tips and tricks for making your own after I'm done going over these parts, but I do recommend this one. It's got the max range, it's got good enough stats to hit 100% status. And it's a great status applier for Condition Overload. Let's quickly show a clip of me using Condition Overload with this specific build. First we'll do it with Maiming Strike, and then we'll do it with the Redeemer Prime. The Redeemer Prime is just not fair with Condition Overload. I'm sure you guys know that at this point. I actually did like a 2-hour disruption run last night with the Redeemer Prime. So yeah, just the standard situation where we're using Condition Overload, Maiming Strike, and we're also using Blood Rush. It's pretty nice. And then I just wanted to show I'm not using Corrosive Projection here. This is the damage you will get if you're doing this. Level 165 Gunners. So yeah, this one, it has really good range. Like the main reason I built it this way is because I want to have consistent status procs at range. I don't want to have to like worry about projectile speed. I don't want to worry about like just loot, like bullets pretty much. Like this is a continuous beam, which is really nice. There are a couple of downsides to having a continuous beam. But the main one, in my opinion, is that the damage ramps up over time. So while you're shooting a target with a beam weapon, guys, over like 0.8 seconds, I believe it is, your damage will ramp up. So you're not doing full damage immediately. You need to actually have some time on target before you're dealing full damage. The status procs will still happen fine, though. So don't worry about status procs. But like if you're doing a DPS build, you do need to stay on target to get that full damage. And that is the case with the chain targets as well. The chaining has about a 5-meter radius, but you really are not using the chaining for damage at high levels. It's really just a status proxy. We're chaining status procs all the way over to her. We actually even use the Nova buff. This is how it would look if you were like just using buffs and stuff, and just like actually playing the game how you normally would, not just in the Simulacra room testing stuff. Okay, so this is a really good one for applying condition overload, guys. I definitely would recommend it. We actually have some other builds as well, though, where we actually have... I have a cheap one for you guys, so I'm actually going to use the cheap one. It's called the Bad Kitgun 9000. I intentionally made this one to be bad. This actually has lower tier parts. Like, you can literally be, like, rank 1 with the Fortuna guys and build this one. And it's actually relatively good. I was surprised at how good this is with me trying to build it to be bad in the first place. Okay, so we have 190% Elemental, the crit mods, Lethal Torrent. We're going to go over Lethal Torrent a little bit later and see maybe you might not want to run Lethal Torrent on every build. We're also going to take this off. We're going to show it on some level 100 gunners. And for a kit gun that's supposed to be bad, it really is not bad, which is surprising. Alright, so this is supposed to be just super neutral. Good status chance, good crit chance, and decent range. This is the Lovetap grip, so it has about a 38-meter range. So I can just back up a little bit, just be nice and chill, not even think about what I'm shooting, really. 38 meters is very generous. And yeah, that's for an intentionally bad kit gun, I'm going to give that one an A+. It did take 441 to fit all that stuff on there, but Gaze, Bellows, Lovetap, nice cheap build, worked out great. Let's move on to this is the first Gaze I ever built, so this one is Gaze, Bashrack, and Ramble. So this one is pretty heavily weighted into crit, but it also has some good status, and Ramble is one of the longer range grips. So let's show the same build on this one, and we're just gonna show how it goes. Take this off so we can reload normally. Notice our crit chance is 91, our status chance is 46. Same enemies. We have a couple other pieces of media to show you guys afterwards, just for like some tips to build your own. See, there's some punch through on there. This one's killing a little bit faster, honestly. This is not using the low tier parts. See, the armor removal is really fast. Her armor is basically all the way gone with all that chaining, since the enemies are next to each other. So I'm going to say that one's really good as well. Let's go to the full DPS version. I'm not going to really show the status version for DPS, but if you guys would like to see that, I mean, I guess I could show that as well. You know, we didn't show the low DPS one. This is like the status applying one. It's not really meant to be a DPS weapon, but we can show that anyway. I already had a DPS build on here, so why not? And then we will show the max DPS one, and I'm going to give you guys some tips on how to build your own Gaze kit gun, because there's lots of options, guys. Alright, so this is the lowest DPS one that I have. Still kills them pretty fast, and you're going all for headshots like this. Let's show some body shots. Yeah, as you noticed, the chaining damage is just really low. Someone said 1% on one of my videos. It might as well be 1%, because like you really are not taking the chaining damage for damage. It's really for status. So it gets fully removing the armor from some of these guys just from the chaining. For a not meant to be DPS weapon, also really good. I think this thing is really good now, guys. I think the Railguts potentially could be worse than the Gaze now. As long as you don't really care about range. Now we're going to show the max DPS version. This one does have 6.4 on it, just because I was trying to fit all 90s on here. But it should be... We actually have Magnum Force in here. This is a slightly different build. Magnum Force... You know, we'll just show Magnum Force, okay? Because Magnum Force makes it a little bit inaccurate. Look at how terrible our status chance is. This terrible status chance will actually hurt us here. But I just want to show you how Magnum Force works. So, the beam is usually very accurate. Now it's kind of going all over the place with Magnum Force. But the thing is, you get a lot of extra damage on the beam, and that's like per tick you're getting extra damage. So Magnum Force is actually a pretty powerful mod on these beam kit guns, guys. You could actually replace Lethal Torrent on some builds with it. So see, even without that status chance, we just tear through these guys with the maximum damage version. And the parts for this one are Gaze, Haymaker, and Splat. I'll put that on screen, of course. I'm also going to link pictures to all of these kit guns in the description, just in case you guys want to quickly look at those. Okay, so that was with Magnum Force, of course, and Gaze, Splat, Haymaker. We got plenty of time. Let's just try a test with the 90% element, or the 60/60 mod instead of Magnum Force there. We get like 10% more status chance. We're more accurate. I don't think it's going to kill anywhere near as fast, but maybe some armor stripping thrown into the mix will be helpful. Alright. Honestly, pretty similar kill time, but we did kill another enemy without even trying to there. So yeah, Magnum Force is good, but it being worth it or not is definitely going to take some additional testing. I'm going to say Magnum Force is worth it against like normal mission enemies because it makes it where you only have to like do 1 tick of damage to kill them. Okay, so that's the 4 different kit guns we have for you today, guys. One of them is a cheap build, one of them is a status applying build, one of them is a hybrid build, and then the last one was a full DPS build. So let's go over some tips and tricks for building your own kit gun. So here we go. Things to consider when building your own gaze. So as I said, the base damage and the range is affected by your grip. So more damage equals less range. And the fire rate is not affected by the grip at all. So no matter which grip you pick, guys, it's always going to be 12 fire rate at base. And when you put on Lethal Torrent, it'll become 19.2 fire rate at base. Okay, so that's the first thing. Keep that in mind. So if you want range, you're going to sacrifice some damage. Moving on, Splat and Killstream Loader have a 100% crit chance without a Riven. So the one I'm using on the max DPS version, you will get a 111% crit chance with Prime Pistol Gambit on that build. The other ones, you will not have a 100% crit chance without a Riven. And I would suggest getting a Riven for this thing, because if you're going to use it, the Rivens can make this thing extremely powerful. I have a Riven. It's not amazing, but it gets the job done. Number 3, at least 32% status chance is required to reach 100% status with all 4 dual stat mods. You don't really need 100% status on a beam weapon at all, because like the way status chance works on beams is like you get so much status quickly. I don't really think it's a huge issue, but if you do want to hit 100% status chance, like I have on the Torrent tree, which is the status focused one, you will need at least 32% status chance. I'm also going to link the Semlar website in the description, guys. A great place for building your own kit guns, seeing what the stats are going to look like. Or you can even just go to Rude Zood in game and preview what they'd be like gilded. Okay? 100% status and crit hybrid is not possible without a Riven or outside buffs. Not a very important point there, but if you want 100% crit, 100% status, you will need a Riven mod or like a Haro buff or a crit buff or something like that. So, yeah, keep that in mind. You're going to either be wanting to go hybrid, full DPS, or status, in my opinion. And then let's quickly show why would you choose the Gaze kit gun over some other choices. So we have the Atomos. So the Atomos is like the main competition for this thing. And the thing about the Atomos is the Atomos will always have less range. The Atomos initial beam is 15 meters. It's either 15 or 18 meters. But even if it's 18 meters, guys, it's always going to be lower than the lowest range Gaze. Because the Atomos has nice chaining. Like the chaining for the Atomos is better for clearing out crowds. But the Gaze has better single target boss DPS, in my opinion. So, yeah, compared to the Atomos, if you really like the Atomos, you don't really need to build a Gaze, honestly. The Gaze is really good, but if you got a good Atomos with like a Riven or like a full build on it and stuff, and you don't need to go out of your way to replace it with the Gaze, although the Gaze might technically be slightly better. And then comparing this to the other kit guns, the Rattleguts, the Tombfinger, the Ketchmoon, I think the other ones can be extremely powerful, especially when you're using like Pax Charge or something. Specifically the Tombfinger and the Ketchmoon, those are extremely hard to compete with, especially when the owner is using a Riven if you're competing with this thing. But still, it's not all about just like being the top DPS. I'd say the Ketchmoon and the Tombfinger are probably better choices for like normal missions, but this thing is really nice, guys. It can clear out like multiple enemies at once at lower levels, and it's in contention with these. I'd say Rattleguts might be worse now, honestly. I did like the Rattleguts a lot before, but I really haven't been using the Rattleguts that much anymore, and the Rattleguts does not have AoE, which was my main problem with the Gaze in the first place. So now that this can crowd clear, the Rattleguts is looking a little bit worse now, guys. And then comparing this to another Condition Overload applier for the status build, the Zocti, Pox, the Cynex, the Gaze can also do it, of course, but it requires a little bit more aiming than some of these options, in my opinion. Like the Pox, you can kind of just not aim with the Pox. With the Cynex, you definitely don't need to aim with the Cynex, and the Zocti, you kind of need to aim with the Zocti a little bit, but it also has an AoE on there as well. This thing is not the case. You have to have time on target with this thing to get all those procs off, and it doesn't have slash built into it, so if you... That isn't usually a problem if you're using like a slash Redeemer Prime, or not slash Redeemer Prime, a slash Graham Prime or something like that. Maybe it will work out for you. Just keep in mind, you're probably going to only have 4 procs in this thing, where you can get more procs with like the Psionex or something like that. Okay, so that is the comparisons, and then let's go over Magnum Force really quickly, guys. So Magnum Force is a mod that will give you basically a bunch of extra base damage, but reduce your accuracy. So Lethal Torrent versus Magnum Force. You might have to make this change on your build if you want to, but basically, in my opinion, guys, at lower level, I don't really think that Lethal Torrent is really valuable, because the way multi-shot and beams work, when multi-shot rolls and you get the multi-shot roll, so like, say like I had 200%, or I had 100% multi-shot on my beam weapon Riven. Like, that's the only weapon mod I had on the gun. 100% multi-shot, I'm only doing double damage. It's not double rolling for like crit procs and status procs and all that stuff. So basically, it's hard to explain, but pretty much it's not shooting extra bullets when you get multi-shot, unlike other weapons. Like for the Catch Moon of the Tomb Finger, if I had 100% multi-shot, it would always shoot 2 bullets, guys. With the Gaze, it's only going to shoot 1 stream of damage always, but when it does roll multi-shot, that stream of damage will just do increased damage. It's a bit odd, but that is how it works. So for lower levels, I don't think that you really need Lethal Torrent. I don't think that extra multi-shot and fire rate's really valuable. And the fact that you're doing more damage with Lethal Torrent, or with Magnum Force added on, well, this will let it so you like one-shot enemies at lower levels anyway. But it's going to be up to personal preference. Obviously, when you get the Lethal Torrent on there and get extra fire rate, it chews through armor a lot faster. But like I'm saying, if you're playing at low-level missions, you don't really care about shooting through armor usually. So yeah, and also that 19.2 fire rate you get to with Lethal Torrent on there can chew through your ammo. Your magazine is gone in like 2 seconds. Okay, so that's gonna really punish time if you miss any shots, in my opinion. So that was one of the reasons why I was like, I don't really know if I want to run Lethal Torrent on every build. And I have tested these all out with Magnum Force, even the status applying one, and I've definitely enjoyed them. But yeah, it's gonna be up to personal preference, as said. And then you do notice the accuracy a little bit. We did show that earlier, where it was like wobbling around and stuff. But I didn't personally. You're not gonna use it at super long ranges. That's the thing. So yeah, hope you guys found this helpful. I tried to go over as much as I could here. A lot of this is going to be up to whatever you guys want to build, though. So like, let's just quickly go over what we have again. So we have the status one, Gaze, Sparkfire, Gibber. The hybrid one that I built initially, Gaze, Bashrack, Ramble. The cheap one that's actually still pretty good is Gaze, Bellows, Lovetap. And then the max DPS one is Gaze, Splat, Haymaker. You can build these however you want, guys. If you want to go more into status, more into crit, all up to you. I personally feel like the 2 best ones that I own are the max DPS one and then the status applying one. So if I was to say maybe build 1 or 2 of these, I'd say Gaze, Splat, Haymaker, and then Gaze, Sparkfire, Gibber. My personal suggestions to you guys. And then, like I said, we'll be linking stuff in the description to make your own. So thanks for checking out the video as always. I do think this thing is pretty good now, and I definitely would recommend it to people. But yeah, I'll see you next video. Please like, share, subscribe, and take it easy, guys. Peace out.